We are doing the Unit 2, Lesson 3 in our Social Studies on weather and climate. Please make sure you have your Social Studies book out and open to page 84. You're going to be following along in your own book, so that way you are reading the words and then listening to me read the words, so your brain is hearing it in those two different ways. Okay, our vocabulary in this unit that we're going to be talking about today is weather and climate. So we'll talk about what those two words mean when we get to them in the paragraph. All right, let's build on what you know. Is it raining, snowing, or sunny today? What it is like outside makes a difference in the activities you do each day. So we are very fortunate where we live in California, and we tend to have very sunny weather. It's not always sunny, but it tends to be very sunny here in California. So the activities we get to do in California can be different than somebody who lives in a different state. For example, I have cousins who live in Minnesota. And the other day on Mother's Day, we got to spend most of the day outside. We could have even gone swimming in our pool if we wanted to. It was a nice warm day. My cousin in Minnesota over there, it was very, very cold. They could not go swimming outside because their weather is different. So let's talk a little bit more about weather. Weather is what the air is like outside at any given time. People often want to know about weather because it affects their lives. Scientists measure weather in many ways. They also try to predict weather. Here is a weather report. Now, when a scientist is giving a weather report, they don't know for sure that it is going to be what it is they're saying. They are predicting what they believe the weather is going to be. They look at patterns and they look at different elements in the air to make up their mind on how they're going to predict what weather it's going to be. But it is just a prediction. Just because they say that the forecast tomorrow is going to be here doesn't mean it is going to be exactly that. They are just guessing because we don't know the future and we can't tell for sure. Okay, so weather is what the air is like on a certain day. So let's look at this forecast. Today it is sunny and warm and between 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That F is the unit they're using to measure the temperature. And we see here a symbol of wind. So it's also winds are up to 10 miles an hour on that day. Now tomorrow, this symbol, with the sun, they now have clouds there, which means instead of it being sunny, it is now going to be cloudy and between 60 to 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you see how this number is lower than today's number? It's going to be lower because now there are clouds in the sky covering up that sun. It's not going to be as sunny, so it won't get as warm. And there is also a chance of rain. So here is a symbol of what it would look like when you have rain. Okay, so what do words, numbers, and pictures tell us about the weather? Okay, they're going to tell us the temperatures, if it's going to be windy, sunny, or cloudy. It's going to tell us what the temperature, what it's going to feel like outside. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Climate. Climate is the usual weather of a place over a long time. So we're not talking about just one day. We're talking about a long period of time, like a season. A climate can have different kinds of weather. Jim and Jenna tell about the climate where they live. So here's Jim. He lives in Wisconsin, and July can be very hot in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And January can be really cold. And look at how the weather affects their activities. When it's hot, they're swimming and playing in the water. When it is cold, they have warm clothes on, and they're going to do fun activities like playing in the snow. So climate is not the weather for just one day. Climate is the weather for a period of time. So normally you would say like a whole month, or maybe even winter, fall, spring, or summer. It's what it usually is like for the whole period. Okay, now Jenna, let's see what it's like for her. Mobile, Alabama has warm weather most of the year. And look at her, she gets to go swimming in the beach, it looks like, because they have warm weather most of the year. Well, it might not be the beach, that might be a lake. Okay, rainstorms are part of our climate too. So they get lots of rain. So if you live in an area with lots of rain, you probably need a raincoat, rain boots, and an umbrella. So the weather would affect the types of clothes that you wear. It's going to affect what activities you do outside. Okay, what are two kinds of weather that could be in one climate? All right, you could have written that in one climate you could have hot and cold weather. You could have warm and rainy weather. Any kind of mix of weather it could be. And let's go ahead and turn the page. Living in different climates. Climates make a difference in the way people live. In what ways are these two climates different? So here we have a picture, and it's pointing on the map to California. Palm Springs is the name of the city in California. Let's see what it's like there. Palm Springs, California has a climate that is hot and dry in daytime. People need cool air in buildings and cars year-round. That means their houses need to have air conditioning so that way all year long they can cool themselves off. They need light clothes to wear. You know, we live here in California, so most of our houses are like that too. Our weather is very hot and sunny, so most of our houses will have air conditioning that we can turn on any day of the year and cool our house down. Now, if you live in Minnesota, your house might not have air conditioning because your house isn't going to get as warm. I've told you before that I used to live in Belgium, in another country, and when I lived there, none of their houses had air conditioning. It didn't get hot enough. Even in the summertime, it only got to about 80 degrees, was the hottest it would ever get. So houses over there did not have air conditioners. But it was very cold over there. So all of the houses had really good heaters. Because it got so cold, they had to keep their house warm. So depending on the weather where you live, it's going to change the things that you need and how the activities you do and how you live depending on your weather. Let's look at this one here. Fargo in North Dakota. Fargo, North Dakota has a climate that is very cold in winter. People need warm air in buildings and cars in winter, clothes to keep out snow and cold. See, these children are wearing their snow gear. They have snow pants on, a snow jacket, and gloves. They have to stay warm. If you live in Fargo, North Dakota, you probably have to wear this type of outfit when you're going to school because it is so cold outside and you may be walking in the snow. In fact, many cities that live over here and it snows all the time, they still play recess outside even in the snow. And the kids have to put on their snow gear to go outside to play recess. And then when they come back in, they have to take it all off on hooks in their room in this hall. And it just changes the way you live depending on your weather. Okay, I have some questions to ask you. Let's see. What kind of plants might you find in a climate that is always dry? Well, we've learned about our habitats. We've learned about plants. We know that an area that is always dry would be like the desert. So plants like cacti would live there. Plants that don't need a lot of water because it's always so warm. Okay, next page. Oh, cold climate job. Let's look at the caption for this picture. How do you know that this picture was not taken in Palm Springs? Look at this. There is a track here. How do we know that that's not taken in Palm Springs? Well, because Palm Springs is warm most of the year. It doesn't really get snow. So do you think if your job was to drive a snowplow and to scoop up snow, would you want to move to Palm Springs, California for your job? Probably not. You're not going to be very busy in Palm Springs, California. There's not very much snow over there, okay? And just like the opposite, like if you were a farmer who grew cacti, are you going to want to move to Dakota? No, you're not going to be able to grow that type of plant over there. Okay, let's read this part here. Farmers in some parts of California grow oranges. Orange trees do well in California's warm climate. Builders think of climate when they plan homes and other buildings. Also, some jobs fit one climate and not another. Driving a snowplow is one example. In what state would a snowplow driver live? Okay, you could have even put he can live here in California too, because we do get snow, but up in the mountains. If he lives here, he would have to be up in the mountains to plow the snow. All right, what is one way that climate makes a difference in what people do? Okay, you could have put anything about it can change their clothes that they wear and the activities that they do. It can change how they build their houses, what sorts of things they need inside there. Okay, what is the difference between weather and climate? And you should have put there that weather is the outside temperature for one day, one particular time. Climate is the temperature for a season, and it's usually just an average of what it's normally like for a period of time, not just one day. Okay? All right, that's it for today. You're going to do your worksheet on weather and climate.